so it's been just over a month since I went backpacking in Japan. I'd always been interested in Tokyo, and I was excited about visiting and experiencing a different culture for the first time. However, finding the right Airbnb for the duration proved to be more expensive than I anticipated, especially since I was on a tight budget. And the cost of living being so high nowadays really didn't help. But I did manage to find accommodations for the first few weeks, and only needed a place to stay for the last couple of days. After about 2 weeks, I did a search for another apartment on Airbnb, but they were too expensive for such a short stay. Fortunately, one of the locals recommended an English-speaking real estate agent who specialized in reasonable accommodations close by. She also didn't mind renting to foreigners. After visiting her office, she was kind enough to hook me up with an affordable one-bedroom apartment. I knew that I should have checked the condition of the place before signing any agreement, but I was tired and really just wanted to make the best of my time and just relax. They also asked the landlady to check on the apartment and make sure everything was in order before I arrived. Upon entering, I got the feeling the apartment was old and quite shabby. It looked like no one had lived there for years. But I really hadn't planned to stay very long. But it would have been nice to have a more comfortable bed to sleep in instead of the old smelly mattress lying on the floor. No wonder it was so inexpensive. But at least I had a roof over my head. Then I heard a rumble, which was my stomach reminding me that I hadn't had a decent meal that day. I remember seeing a small soup kitchen on the way to the room. Since I wasn't very familiar with the area, I went and chose to sit with a view of the apartment to avoid getting lost and having to ask for directions later. Even though it was raining, I was in no hurry to get back to that room, to be honest. So I took my time enjoying this soup and wondered about the nightlife. However, it started to rain harder as the wind picked up. So I had to head back to the apartment sooner than I'd planned. I love the rain, so that didn't bother me, but when I got back to the apartment, the power was out and I couldn't recharge my phone, which was annoying. On top of that, I noticed that the floor was soaking wet. And to make matters worse, I also had a leaky ceiling to deal with. With only the light from the outer walkway shining through the frosted kitchen windows, I couldn't see much, but as I looked closer, I noticed something that made me uncomfortable. Actually, the ceiling wasn't leaking at all and the floor was covered with wet footprints, as if someone just walked in from the rain without any shoes. Being such a tiny place, it didn't take long to figure out that no one else was there and none of my things had been gone through or missing. So as I stood there in the dark feeling creeped out, I also realized that the landlady had never shown up. Maybe there was a mix-up at the office and she was just late. At least that was the most sensible thing I could come up with. I started feeling tired at that point, and just as I was about to call it a night, I started hearing the leaky faucet. And when I looked over at the kitchen window, I was surprised to see the shadow of a woman walking by the window. She seemed to pause, peering, for no reason, as if trying to figure out if anyone was in the room. Obviously, I didn't appreciate this, but then she continued on. I quietly went over to the sink to stop the dripping, so I could hit the sack and finally get some sleep. And that's when I noticed something that really gave me the chills. I couldn't really tell if it was the same woman or somebody else lurking near the right side of the window, as if they were hiding. It was still raining, and the door was definitely locked. So I thought if I could just concentrate on the sound of the rain and eventually fall asleep, I might forget about all of it. I sat on the bed though, wondering what to do next. Then, I was again creeped out by the sound of the door somehow opening itself. I was too curious not to look, but I really wish I hadn't. Needless to say, I didn't get any sleep at all that night. So I gathered my stuff and checked into the next nearest hotel. Once I got home, I did some research and discovered that the real estate agent specialized in renting out rooms in sketchy hotels, otherwise known as Ichigo Bucken, a term for properties where tenants have died under mysterious circumstances. Again, that's probably why they rent out so cheap, and the superstitious locals are too smart to go near them. I've never believed in superstitions, but I will be sure not to venture into any more creepy hotels.